I was in a trailer one time, and just to save face, I won't call names, but I was in a trailer and there was a consultant and we were going over the waterproofing on a project, and a young lady walked into the job trailer, and she had on a fairly short skirt, and the as soon as she walks out, the consultant starts commenting on how hot the girl was. And about that time, the superintendent slung the chair across the room and said, "That's my daughter you're talking about." And it was super awkward, and everybody went dead silent. And the guy that said it just said, "Well, I wouldn't let my daughter dress like that."
Oh no!
And come on a job site. It was a pretty tense moment there for a
That
moment.
was tense for different reasons than I was thinking it was going to be tense.
Going back to you said you were in a couple meetings with Elon Musk. He's obviously a very efficient person.
30
How-
minutes max.
I was about to say, how did he run his meetings?
30 minutes max. And
around
the edict is that if you're in there, you're adding value or you're obtaining value. And that if not, you better be leaving. And that leaving that meeting is the respectful thing to do for the rest of it.
Really?
That being in a meeting when you're not adding anything or you're not learning anything, why?
Go ahead and tell us, once you got your career started, you kind of had tragic events, and then you kind of ended up really kind of running a company for a while, really young.
Yeah. Well, funny story, right when I took the job at the other place, my boss says, "Hey, I just got married and I'm going on a honeymoon." And he just leaves me there in charge of everything. And everybody from all the field people are coming in and asking me what to do. And I've literally worked there just a few months. And
Tell me this, when you started selling, I think one of the things most young guys struggle with is no. And if you're only winning 80% of your work, 20% of your work,
Yeah.
80% of the answers are no.
Yeah.
How was the rejection factor when you were young and coming in? How'd you get over that?
Yeah, because I'm super competitive, played sports growing up, so I hated being no. But honestly, that probably drove me that much more because our business model, we're not a commodity-based business. We are a relationship-based business. So, the feedback I received as a 23, 24-year-old was, well, I'm not making the sales that I'm wanting to make, that I'm promising, that I'm working my tail off for. What am I doing wrong? And it just turns into relationships matter at the end of the day. And I didn't have those relationships,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
but you need to start forging the relationships with those young guys in the project engineer roles, in the field engineer roles, because those are going to be the decision makers. And by the time I was 25, 26, I had a good enough reputation with some of the older project managers, but my peers were then buying out work, and there was nobody they were going to go to.
Right. We always say that it's more important to be building the relationship when there's no project involved than when there is project involved.
I'm always surprised how few people think I can actually work when they come through. People always shocked when I work.
I think the quote from our truck driver is, "Richard, he ain't much."
Yes, I think that was referring more to my power and strength than it
Right,
was
right.
anything else. But yes.
Back to when I first came here, I do remember one thing. I didn't have a vehicle because of I'd just come and you were getting me a vehicle. You'd ordered me one, and so your wife had a sister company, and it did some cleanup, and they put me in this truck, and it was bright red like a fire truck,
Oh,
and it
man.
said "Death to Meth" on it because they did meth cleanups.
I did
meth
not
lab
even
cleanups.
remember you
And-
driving that truck.
Yeah, I drove a red truck. It said "Death to Meth," and I came home, and my wife said, "Where did you go to work? What is this?" And then she says, "It's safe to be in this truck." And I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." But I learned really quickly that they did a lot of work up in Winston County and Walker County, and that's where my lake house was. I learned really quickly that the sheriff's department didn't blink at that death to meth truck going really fast down the road.
So just for reference, my wife's company cleaned up meth labs all
Yes.
over the state of Alabama. So we didn't just have normal trucks. It said "Death to Meth." That was the meth cleanup truck. I would pay money for a picture of you in that truck. We've got to find it.
I'm sure there is one.
That is quality work right there.
Yeah. On the dash was the sheriff of Winston County and Walker County's business cards taped
Taped up
on there.
there.
So I felt pretty confident.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the people from One Stop said, "Oh, they're not going to bother you." And I was like, "Okay."
If I had the little lights you could throw up
It
there.
had a yellow-
It had the
yellow-
yellow
Those
lights
were the
you could
best.
throw up there and
Those were the
go.
best.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fine. Tell me back, what is the worst job site trailer meeting you ever went to?
Mm. I mean, they all rank up there, but I would I I have different experiences. I think the worst one because it was all a it was collectively everybody was behind the eight ball, and it wasn't a trailer. It was the basement of the LSU stadium,
Oh, yeah.
and it had about you know 8 foot tall ceilings, and everybody was smoking. It looked like London fog, and after a 2 hour meeting, right?
What's the last book that you completed?
Um, that actually is pretty easy. The Bible.
Listen,
That's the last book I've read every word of.
Wow.
I mean, we have some here that are assigned by the boss to read, but I usually cheat a little bit and get it on tape and listen to it.
Let's speak
So what was that one?
21
yeah,
Laws of Leadership. Oh, no,
Car-
10X.
Yeah, 10X. That book I listened to on tape,
Yeah.
but to actually read is the Bible.
Which, by the way, Seth is typically grandfathered out of most of our programs. It's his option to come and go as he pleases.
I thought about talking about AI, and maybe not. Maybe not.
Not
Who's AI?
I'm not technology.
But then you start learning
Yeah.
things like don't ever open a coffee shop without change. Because the very first day, we're like, oh, shit, we didn't have change. And it's 6 o'clock in the morning and you can't run to the bank. And
Right.
there's no things like that.
Yeah. A lot of hard lessons.
Yes, a
And
lot of-
small businesses teach a lot.
Oh, yes.
I would tell you, it's the single part about it all that kind of it offends business owners out of the gate, which is that we are here to commit fraud at the expense of our people.
Yes.
And I think I know it exists. It does happen. But in reality, most business owners, out of the millions and millions of small business owners, are in business for their people. Obviously, I lived it, but tell us how you got into the industry initially.
Well, I think I came here a bunch when I was a kid, when I was sick. So I was intrigued by all the pieces of equipment and machinery around. And then when you don't do well in math, one year your dad makes you build scaffold all summer, right? And so, it works out that way. Then you just keep going down the same path. So keep learning more and enjoying different things.
And my initial memories of you are probably that big in soccer cleats, rolling through the office from time to time in your dad's Astro van, because it was a very big piece of life.
Mm-hmm.
And your dad's Astro van playing soccer.
Yeah, his Astro van is legendary amongst plenty of things.
Did it have the shag carpet in it?
It was not. No.
It had a V8, and he did roll it end to end at one point.
No, that was the Plymouth Caravan.
Oh, that
was prior to. Then the MPV came next. The Astro van was a little later, but I think he had 6 of those.
He did a lot of Astro vans because they could tow a boat.
That's true.
That was always
That's
the
true.
important part.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I am a firm believer that business trumps law every single day.
Mm.
My job as a lawyer is to help you find a legal solution to your business problem, or to make sure that your business problem does not also become a legal problem from a compliance standpoint.
Time when I had to study for a job meeting, I thought I was going to have to talk. And before I walked in the trailer, he looked at me and he says, "Hey, you don't speak unless you're spoken to, but you better know the answer." Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, all right. All right. So this is just a trial run. You're just seeing if I'd study. Okay.
Yes.
When I moved to Tuscaloosa, I realized there was not a coffee shop there. And we opened a coffee shop named the Crimson Cafe.
Okay.
Our budget was $9,000. My partner sold his car. I sold mine. We pulled our money together, opened it up. We bought these old Wendy's tables that we had to chisel out, the logos that Wendy had in them. And then we recovered them. We built the stands, and we just opened up.
Did y'all still get your coffee from this?
We did. So we are the only vertically integrated coffee company in really the Southeast.
Wow.
I mean, where we actually, it's not that we have a relationship with the farmer. We are the farm.
Mhm.
We control from the nursery, the seedlings, to the plantation, to the wet mill, the dry mill. We're responsible. We're the stewards for the water, making sure, we're the stewards for having as little possible pollution into the environment. And our farms are still some of the only ones that have a canopy of trees for example, right now, I know for a fact that a vast majority or a large percentage of the workforce today in a lot of, whether it's construction or other trades, is cartel controlled.
Mm.
The moment that you shine the light into that, and you're going to open the door for these workers that are honest, that are efficient, that are going to, produce and help support our economy, and
Right.
you're going to legalize their status as a worker, the cartel doesn't really have a hold on them anymore.
Right.
So
Right.
you're going to,
Almost
we
opening
can,
the door shines the light
of course.
Yeah.
across.
I mean, and it makes sense because, again, you start from the premise of how can our government support the honest, hardworking, entrepreneurial U.S. business owner?
Mhm.
I mean, that's what the government should be there for, not to putting blocks and
Yeah.
obstacles on your road.
Given the fact that Trump came out of the construction world, have you found the policies and the things he's pushing to reflect that, or do you think I don't really feel like they do? I think sometimes it's almost like he needs to talk to normal construction people.
I would say so. I would think, obviously his level of construction is at a different, it's at a different level, but
Mhm.
but I do think that he would do well by being advised and listening more to folks like you, that are really in the trenches. No, I mean,
Why,
I'm
what's this
serious.
phone
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah,
call it.
yes. Let's get trenches.
Yeah,
That-
exactly.
that number.